Chuck, there are so many wonderful pro-life laws and policies. Next week we'll celebrate the 41st anniversary of the Hyde Amendment. And the Charlotte Lozier Institute last year for the 40th anniversary produced a wonderful report on that. So can you talk to us a little bit about the impact of Hyde and a little bit about that report?
Well, we've talked a little bit about the fact that publicly funded abortion was happening in the 1970s, pretty much by default. The Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, it was then called, looked at the statute apparently and said medically necessary, abortion is now legal, therefore it's going to be funded with federal dollars. So that was the entire United States. So that was taking place. I'm sure it helped drive the abortion rate up. And it was a discovery by one or two lobbyists and one great legislator, may he rest in peace, Henry Hyde of Illinois, just a towering figure in the pro-life cause, and he took this issue to the floor of the Congress, offered his amendment, and frankly it was probably the first time anybody had thought about this taking place. It passed, but immediately went into court. So what you have is a very long history, even after the federal issues were resolved by the Supreme Court in Harris versus McRae. There were still states that decided on their own to fund abortion, or the political wind shifted. So we had quite a chore. But Dr. Michael New, who teaches at Ave Maria, is one of our 43 scholars. He went state by state, looking at when the Hyde Amendments in those states were in effect. Obviously, the blanket of the federal Hyde Amendment over that. He also looked at court injunctions, changes by the legislature, the exceptions, and then he applied to that what actually is a low estimate of the effect of the Hyde Amendment. We use Guttmacher data for that because they do not like the Hyde Amendment. They believe it reduces the abortion rate, and they've produced estimates of how many women, as they would put it, lose access because of the Hyde Amendment. So all in all, it's a very exacting report. No one's challenged it. I don't think they can. But what he concluded was that since its enactment, the various forms of the Hyde Amendment have saved 2.13 million human lives. Now, stack that against a lot of other investments we make in public health. The Hyde Amendment may be one of the 2 or 3 most important public health measures ever enacted in the United States. And when you get on the train to ride somewhere, you get on an airplane to fly across the country, we should recognize the 1 to 2 people on that plane owe their lives to the Hyde Amendment.
Yeah, that is so well said. I mean, so grateful to Congressman Henry Hyde. I was wondering, was the lobbyist that you were referring to Mark Gallagher? Well, Mark,
I was fortunate enough to learn at Mark's knee, lobbying the appropriations committees on Capitol Hill. There was no more exacting, detail-oriented lobbyist in the country. And but I have to tell you, Jeanne, it was a different world. As I often say, back in the day, of 1973, 74, 75, you could walk into the Capitol at 2 in the morning and just say hello to the guards as you came in, and then walk into the Appropriations Committee conference rooms, stand within a few feet of the senators, and converse with them in between their debates. And the Hyde Amendment was subject one year to about 55 votes in the House and Senate combined as they warred over the language. Mark was a terrific warrior for that. John Mackey, who doesn't like to be talked about, but John should be. He's one of the unsung heroes. And a guy who's now in the Virginia legislature, Bob Marshall, was very key to lots of those amendments. So it was a team effort, but Mark was certainly a leader.
Wow. If you're joining us